with no stoplights, no Starbucks, and yet somehow, perfect cell service. You tell me what dimension we just stepped into. Arizona isn't just retirees in golf pants and HOA fines for breathing wrong. There's another side, quieter, cheaper, where people disappear on purpose. But here's the thing no one tells you. The real gems, the ones with fresh air, real community, and a mortgage payment that doesn't need a cosigner from the afterlife, they never make the list. Too small, too weird. So today, we're burning the brochure. This is the anti-retirement list. 10 peaceful Arizona towns so affordable, you'll think there's gotta be a catch. And spoiler, sometimes there is. And sometimes, it's just paradise nobody posted. One of these towns banned fast food and still has better pizza than Phoenix. Another, built on lava rock, real lava, from an extinct volcano. Probably. Think you know Arizona? Good. You're about to unknow it. And wait till you see the one where the bookstore doubles as a bar, and the bartender gives existential advice. Choosing wrong could cost you your peace. Choosing right might just reset your entire life. Subscribe now, because this isn't just a list, it's the exit ramp. Let's break it down. Number 10, Patagonia. In Patagonia, Arizona, the average house price is around $190,000, and the average daily drama level is somewhere between your cat took a nap and someone waved too enthusiastically at the co-op. Most people looking to retire head into the buzz, golf courses, social clubs, HOA drama disguised as community, but Patagonia, it's where people go to retire from all that. And if trends hold, it might be the one place left where you can still hear your own thoughts and afford a 2-bedroom with a view. Patagonia's not big. We're talking population under 900. You could meet everyone in town in a single farmer's market and still have time to argue over who bakes the best sourdough. Median home price? Approximately $190,000. Cost of living index? 89. Crime rate? 57% below the national average. Elevation? 4,000 feet. Cooler than Phoenix by 15 to 20 degrees. Art scene? Wildly alive. Galleries, weavers, indie coffee shops, and an annual bird festival that locals take more seriously than Christmas. But then, here's what nobody tells you. This place is also a research town. Patagonia is surrounded by preserved land, conservation sites, and sky islands. Translation: no strip malls, no chains, no loud tourists, and yeah, no Uber. What does that cost you? Convenience. What does it save you? About 30 years of city-induced stress and roughly $300,000 in housing bloat. The real win? Time slows down. And that's not a metaphor. There's literally a sundial in the town square. Here's what nobody warns you about. Patagonia has one grocery store and it closes early. Like 6:45 p.m. and the lights are off early. You miss your window? Hope you like gas station jerky and existential hunger. Also, cell reception depends on which way the wind's blowing. Or the birds. It's unclear. And if Patagonia is Arizona's introvert oasis, the next town somehow made weird a competitive sport. Number 9, Snowflake. Snowflake, Arizona, where the weather's dry, the streets are quiet, and your neighbor might believe in aliens. Or be one. Statistically, both options are still cheaper than Phoenix. So here's the setup. Snowflake sounds like the nickname your cranky uncle uses when someone asks for oat milk. But this town? It's a real place, and no, it doesn't snow that much. It does, however, offer a strange little cocktail of peace, affordability, and lore that'll either charm you or make you question your life choices. Let's break it down. Median home price: approximately $215,000, well below state average. Cost of living index? 86. Translation: your retirement dollars go further than your 2006 Corolla. Violent crime rate? 47% below the national average. Elevation? Approximately 5,600 feet. You get seasons without Phoenix heat stroke. Vibe? Part pioneer town, part History Channel after midnight. Oh, and bonus? The town's co-founded by a Mormon named Snow and a settler named Flake. No joke, that's not a metaphor, it's literally named Snowflake. Snowflake is quiet, like actual quiet. Church bells and distant rooster quiet, which, depending on your tolerance for peace and/or poultry, is either utopia or mild psychological warfare. The upside? You can buy a 2-bedroom with a porch, a view, and probably a tumbleweed that identifies as a roommate, all for the price of a down payment in Scottsdale. But here's the twist. Snowflake isn't just old-timey calm, it's weird, and proud of it. This is the town where Travis Walton claimed he was abducted by aliens in 1975, and instead of laughing it off, people went, Huh, sounds about right. They even made a movie about it, Fire in the Sky. Look it up. Or don't, unless you want to trust lights in the woods again. You should probably know this. Alright, quick reality check. Snowflake's a vibe, but it's not for everyone. If your idea of fun involves sushi, 6 bars, and Uber on demand, you'll hate it here. The nearest big box store is like pack a lunch far. And the nightlife? Well, the stars are pretty bright. Also, watch your back during 4th of July. These folks take fireworks personally. One guy launched a whole Roman candle war from a lawn chair. Respect. Imagine stepping outside on a crisp 68-degree morning, pines in the distance, a sky so clear it makes your phone camera feel insecure. You sip coffee on your porch while your neighbor jogs by with a parrot on his shoulder. Nobody's in a rush, not even the parrot. And guess what? That house costs less than your niece's liberal arts degree. Be honest, would you retire in a town with more alien sightings than traffic lights? Yes? No. Only if I get to be abducted on weekends. Drop it in the comments. I need to know how many of you are actually down for this. Snowflake might be chill, but the next town? Let's just say the artists outnumber the tourists, and sometimes the horses. Let's keep going. Number 8 is wild. Number 8, Bisbee. Bisbee is what happens when a mining town gets hit by a lightning bolt of creativity, forgets capitalism for 30 years, and starts brewing its own kombucha. So here's the thing about Bisbee. On paper, it shouldn't work. A remote, old copper mining town jammed into a canyon near the Mexican border, but you show up and suddenly it's like walking onto a movie set directed by Wes Anderson and art directed by your slightly feral, newly sober aunt who makes killer mosaic tables. Bisbee's reputation? Part ghost town, part artist commune, part we don't care what you think, Karen. Let's hit the stats. Median home price, approximately $210,000. Cost of living index, approximately 85, way below US. Crime rate, surprisingly low considering it looks like the perfect place for a stylish heist. Art scene, off the charts. Murals, galleries, underground bars doubling as performance spaces. Healthcare access, not huge, but Tucson's just 90 minutes away, unless you drive like a retiree on edibles. And yes, there's a museum for mining and a shop that only sells handmade puppets. Somehow, these coexist peacefully. Living in Bisbee is like stepping through a portal where time slows down and everyone's weirdness is not only accepted, it's expected. Retiring here doesn't just stretch your money, it stretches your definition of normal. And that's the point. You can buy a charming fixer-upper with mountain views and a built-in ghost for under $200,000. The downside? Your UPS driver may have to hike a literal staircase to find you, because Bisbee's got a lot of stairs. Like, make sure your knees are insured levels of stairs. Bisbee has more stairs than people and more stray cats than both. If you trip here, you don't fall, you descend artistically. Okay, let's talk about the parking. There isn't any. Like, none. You park at the bottom of a hill and your house is somewhere up that vertical canyon wall. I'm not saying it's a scam, but it feels like one created by big quads. Also, if you don't like art, music, or strong opinions about coffee brewing methods, this ain't your town. Picture this. You're sipping coffee from a mismatched mug on your balcony that was once a mine shaft. Below you, a guy playing cello in a bathrobe on the street corner. The air smells like mesquite and rebellion. Somewhere, someone's painting their mailbox into a dragon. It's weird. It's beautiful. It's Bisbee. Side note, Bisbee has a haunted hotel with a bar that serves cocktails named after the spirits. I didn't say it made sense, I said it made character. Remember when I said Snowflake had UFOs? Yeah, Bisbee's ghosts drink with you. Beat that, aliens. Number 7, Safford. In Safford, Arizona, you can buy a home for the price of a Harley, and your neighbors are either farmers, telescope engineers, or both, and somehow it works. Let's get something straight. Safford isn't flashy. No Instagrammable murals, no overpriced wine bars with names like Cork and Theory, but what it does have is peace, space, and some of the most affordable retirement living in the state, if not the country. And before you ask, yes, it's the kind of place where everyone waves, even if they don't know you, which is terrifying, but also kind of sweet. Here's the real breakdown. Median home price, approximately $185,000. Cost of living index, approximately 84. Access to healthcare, medium, but Tucson's a doable drive. Climate, high desert, warm days, cool nights, zero humidity. Fun fact, Mount Graham Observatory sits just above the town. You get dark skies and science nerds with telescopes as neighbors. Reddit quote, Safford's the kind of place where your mechanic is also your barber, and he's weirdly great at both. It's rural, rural but not empty, quiet but not dull, and weirdly, astronomically affordable. Living in Safford means living deliberately. No distractions, no rush. You trade 24/7 convenience for space, stars, and serenity. And honestly, that's a pretty solid deal. Groceries are cheap, rent is low, and your biggest daily decision might be whether to walk the canal trail or sit on your porch and judge clouds. But, and here's the catch, if you're allergic to boredom, beware. Safford doesn't entertain you, it dares you to slow down. Okay, here's my one gripe. There's a local gas station that also sells burritos, and duck feed, and funeral candles, all in the same aisle. That's either peak small-town resourcefulness, or the opening scene of a low-budget horror movie. Also, nobody in town uses turn signals. It's a thing. Just embrace the chaos. Imagine stepping outside. There's no traffic, just the wind moving through pecan trees. The sky is actually blue. You grab a $1 coffee at the corner cafe and chat with someone who's lived here since Reagan. A mile down the road, hot springs. Now look at your rent and realize it's the same as what you used to spend on lattes weekly. Phoenix has more craft breweries than public restrooms. Safford has more stars than streetlights, and somehow that's safer. Side note, there's a cafe in Safford where the pie is so good, it's legally suspicious. Just saying. Remember Bisbee's stairs? Yeah, Safford's got the opposite problem. It's so flat you could level a pool table on a dirt road. But if you thought this was peaceful, wait till you see the town where jazz bars and vinyl shops sit on top of abandoned copper mines. Number 6. Clarkdale. Clarkdale is one of the few towns where you can hear live jazz, drink wine made 2 miles away, and still buy a house without selling your organs on the dark web. Let's talk about Clarkdale, the underdog town no one puts on brochures, but somehow has everything retirees pretend they're too cool to care about. This is a place that was built as a company town for copper smelters in the early 1900s, and now it's become a low-key artsy oasis where the vibe is vintage vinyl meets desert slow living. You want charm? It's got it, but without screaming for attention. Here's what you need to know. Median home price, approximately $265,000. Yep, still holding out under the Sedona spillover. Cost of living, approximately 89 on the national index. Population, just under 5,000, with a noticeable retiree presence. Culture, music festivals, art walks, and surprisingly good espresso. Crime rate, about 30% below the national average. Oh, and it's got a train. Not for commuting, for vibes. The Verde Canyon Railroad runs through Clarkdale and offers slow, scenic rides through Red Rock canyons. Basically, it's the kind of town where even the trains are just here to chill. What does Clarkdale give you? Culture without chaos. Views without the crowd. It's like Sedona's quieter, cooler cousin who still knows how to party, but prefers doing it with jazz and a glass of red. But it comes with a trade-off. If you're into nightlife, you're out of luck. Unless your idea of a wild night is an open mic poetry reading at the local gallery, followed by bedtime at 8:45. Still, for retirees and introverts who finally accepted it, the payoff is real. Affordable homes, clean air, a strong arts community, and neighbors who say hi and mean it. Okay, let's address the oddly specific thing about Clarkdale. It has more roundabouts than stoplights. I'm serious, if you're not used to it, you'll start to feel like you're trapped in a polite whirlpool. It's like the city planners had a leftover budget and said, screw it, circles. Also, 0 good bagel shops. Come prepared or lower your expectations. Picture this, you step outside and the morning sun paints the canyon walls gold. You grab a coffee from a place called something like Beans and Vinyl, then stroll past historic buildings with actual character, not the fake kind developers add with shutters that don't open. A few steps later, you're at a wine tasting, run by the winemaker's daughter, who also teaches yoga in the old post office. It's weird, it's warm, and it's working. Side note, Clarkdale has a higher walkability score than half of Phoenix, and somehow fewer things trying to kill you. Go figure. If you survived the staircases in Bisbee and the haunted gas station in Safford, congratulations! Clarkdale might actually let you relax now. But if Clarkdale is the jazz album of Arizona towns, the next one? It's the secret track nobody talks about, but once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Number 5. Duncan. Duncan, Arizona. A town so stubborn it refused to die. Twice. Flooded? Rebuilt. Railroad abandoned it? Built a museum. Population shrinking? Fine. More pecan pie for the rest of us. You know those towns that feel like they were put there on purpose? By some tired, sunburned pioneer who just said, "This'll do." Yeah, that's Duncan. And somehow, it does do. Set on the Gila River near the New Mexico border, Duncan is tiny. We're talking under 800 people tiny. But it's held together by grit, pride, and the kind of small-town resilience that would terrify a tech bro. Here's what makes Duncan a wild little wild card on this list. Median home price? Approximately $135,000. No, that's not a typo. Cost of living index? Around 80, one of the lowest in Arizona. Local economy? Agriculture, ranching, and antique stores that smell like your grandma's attic. Job market? Limited, but retirees? You're golden. Crime rate? Virtually non-existent. Your biggest threat is falling asleep in a rocking chair with a pie in your lap. Reddit quote, "It's like the town forgot what year it is." And honestly, that's kind of the appeal. Living in Duncan isn't about keeping up, it's about opting out. You trade in traffic, chaos, and HOA drama for views, solitude, and knowing exactly who's at the door just by the knock. The downside? You'd better like quiet, because Duncan doesn't do fast. The biggest event in town is the annual rodeo, and yes, it's a big deal, like Main Street shuts down big. Can we talk about how weirdly specific Duncan is about its history? There's a mural downtown that celebrates the town surviving 2 floods, a railroad closure, and rival towns stealing its mail route. I'm not saying it's petty, but it's giving small town energy with a grudge. Also, no decent coffee unless you count gas station espresso machines from 2007. Good luck. Imagine this. You wake up to sunlight over wide fields. The air smells like mesquite and river dust. You walk to the only cafe in town, get waved at by every single person, and drink black coffee while someone argues about who makes the best chili. You go home, sit on a porch that costs less than your old city's rent deposit, and breathe. No sirens, no apps, no stress. In San Francisco, you need $135,000 just to breathe the air. In Duncan, that gets you a house, a truck, and probably a neighbor who bakes you muffins just for existing. Be honest, could you live in a town this small? Yep, peace and pie, please. Nah, I need Uber and noise. Comment your pick. I'm keeping score. Like this video if you're still emotionally recovering from your last property tax bill. Subscribe now, not for me, but for the version of you that's Googling cheap places with decent weather and no humans at 2 a.m. Number 4. Porta. Portal, Arizona. Population small, elevation high, and the only town on this list where your neighbor might be a PhD or a bobcat. Let's talk about Portal, a town so remote your GPS stops out of respect. Tucked into the Chiricahua Mountains on the southeastern edge of Arizona, Portal doesn't have a gas station, a grocery store, or cell service. What it does have is peace so thick it could qualify as insulation. It's known by birdwatchers, geologists, and the kind of scientists who go off-grid but still write peer-reviewed articles. It's a portal, not just in name, but in vibe. You don't move here by accident, you exit here. The stats? Surprisingly gentle. Median home price, approximately $175,000. Cost of living index, approximately 81. Very low. Crime rate, basically non-existent, unless you count raccoons with attitude. Culture, mix of quiet retirees, amateur astronomers, and hardcore birders. What it doesn't have? Restaurants, streetlights, traffic, or noise. Now let's be honest, Portal isn't for the convenience junkie. There's no Target run, no Uber Eats, no let me grab a latte unless you brought your own espresso machine. But that's not the point. You don't move to Portal to get things. You move to Portal to get away from them. The emotional ROI? Huge. Your brain slows down, your blood pressure drops, and you relearn how to listen to birds, wind, silence, yourself. Portal has 1 road, 1 bookstore, and about 19 hummingbirds per human. That's not a ratio, that's a lifestyle. Okay, real talk. If you hate bugs, this is not your utopia. You're in the high desert, the wildlife thrives. At night, you will hear sounds. Some of them are owls. Some of them are probably lizards playing jazz on your roof. You won't know. That's the charm, allegedly. Also, why is it always 5 degrees colder than you think it should be? Just commit, weather. Pick a lane. A local once told me, in Portal, if you see headlights after 9 p.m., you either have a visitor or a problem. Imagine trading screen time for stargazing, replacing traffic noise with a coyote lullaby. Your nearest neighbor? Half a mile. Your internet? Sketchy. Your stress levels? Non-existent. Portal isn't just off the grid, it's off the map in the best way possible. Number 3, Camp Verde. Camp Verde is the kind of place where horses have more room than you had in your last apartment, and the coffee comes with a side of creekside serenity. Alright, here's what most people get wrong about Arizona. Not every peaceful town is a sun-bleached desert flatland with one gas station and a suspicious amount of silence. Enter Camp Verde, a town that lives in that perfect under-the-radar zone between I can afford this and why has no one told me about this before? Located about an hour from both Phoenix and Flagstaff, Camp Verde is river-fed, mountain-backed, and just the right amount of weird. Check the numbers. Median home price, approximately $260,000. Cost of living index, around 87, below national average. Elevation, approximately 3,100 feet. Cooler than Phoenix, warmer than Flagstaff. Crime rate, 45% lower than national average. Bonus features, hiking, hot air balloons, ancient cliff dwellings, and an annual cornfest. Yes, cornfest! Living here means wide open skies, river trails, actual greenery in Arizona, and just enough quirky shops and restaurants to keep things interesting. You're not off-grid, but you're far enough from the chaos to forget what gridlock feels like. The Verde River runs right through town, and it's not just for kayaking, it's for resetting your nervous system. And the best part? You're 30 minutes from Sedona without having to pay Sedona prices or deal with Sedona people trying to realign your chakras in line at Whole Foods. Here's the only real problem with Camp Verde: the roads. Not the highways, those are fine. I'm talking about the weirdly specific dirt access roads that Google Maps swears are real. They're not. They're goat trails. You'll follow the GPS into what looks like a dry riverbed, and next thing you know, you're halfway to New Mexico with no signal and a squirrel judging your tires. And yet, worth it. In LA, $260,000 gets you a parking space with personality. In Camp Verde, it gets you a house, land, and a literal view of a national monument. Camp Verde is peaceful with a pulse. But the next town somehow makes wine, tumbleweeds, and cowboy hats all feel like a lifestyle brand. Number 2, Willcox. Willcox is the kind of town where your mortgage payment might be cheaper than your monthly coffee budget, if you still drank Starbucks like a coastal elite. Let's talk about Willcox, a town with fewer people, more sky, and just enough wine to make you question if you ever needed big city chaos in the first place. This is Arizona's hidden vineyard valley, tucked between desert mountains and ghost town roads. If Sedona is your polished Instagram aunt, Willcox is your cool, dusty uncle who knows how to fix tractors and make a mean Merlot. Here's the real-world breakdown. Median home price, approximately $155,000. Yes, in this economy. Cost of living index, 76. That's wildly below the national average. Crime rate, 32% lower than national average. Fun fact, over 70% of Arizona's wine grapes are grown here. Rent, one bedrooms hover around $600 per month. Local quote, Willcox is great if you love sunsets, wine, and being far enough from your neighbors to never hear their Wi-Fi password drama. Willcox isn't for everyone, and that's exactly why it works. You've got a sleepy, agriculturally rich community where people wave at each other, and your dog probably gets more social interaction than you. It's a town where the farmer's market sells jalapeno peach jam, and people still go to rodeos unironically. The pace is slow, the prices are low, and the sunsets? They deserve their own Instagram filter called retirement goals. Let me say this once for the new folks. Willcox smells like cows. Not in a ooh way, more like in a that's the scent of your property tax savings, my dude kind of way. You get used to it. Also, the wine here is amazing, but if you show up expecting Napa, you're gonna cry into your plastic stemware. This isn't pretentious Pinot country. This is we make wine because we can territory. And I respect that. Picture this. You step outside. There's no traffic, no noise. Just the sound of wind moving across the desert and the clink of your coffee mug on the porch railing. You wave at your neighbor 3 acres away. You remember you have wine tasting at 2 p.m. The Wi-Fi's decent. The sky is massive, and the world feels manageable. Phoenix, where you pay $400,000 for a townhouse and traffic. Willcox, where you pay $155,000 for a view, wine, and no HOA president in sight. Remember when we said you'd find towns more affordable than your last car payment? Yeah, this is one of them, and it comes with a side of Sangiovese. Quick stat drop. Willcox High's mascot is the cowboy. Not a cowboy, the cowboy. That's the kind of energy this place rolls with. And if you think Willcox is chill, the next place makes quiet look loud. Seriously, it might be the most peaceful, most surprising town on the entire list. Number 1. Arivaca. There's off-grid, and then there's Arivaca. The kind of town where the stars outnumber the people, and the loudest thing at night is your own overthinking. Welcome to Arivaca, Arizona. The most, wait, this place is real? Town on the list. A tiny dot in southern Arizona, about 11 miles from the Mexico border, where the road ends and the real Arizona begins. It's rural, it's rugged, and it's quietly rebellious. Like someone built a town and then collectively decided, nah, we'll just vibe. This place doesn't want to be your next Scottsdale. It wants to be your final good decision. Here's the kicker. Median home price? Approximately $140,000. AKA, you could buy this town with one Bay Area condo. Cost of living index? 75. Cheaper than most people's avocado toast addiction. Crime rate? Practically non-existent, unless your idea of crime is that one guy who speed walks shirtless. Job market? Not exactly booming, but retirement means you don't have to be either. Vibe? Artists, off-gridders, desert monks, and anyone allergic to HOAs. Arivaca is the kind of place where your phone signal goes to reflect on life. The Wi-Fi may be weak, but the sunsets will absolutely wreck you emotionally. Yes, it's remote. Yes, your nearest Starbucks might be a 90-minute round trip, but maybe, just maybe, that's a feature, not a bug. Besides, do you really need $7 coffee when you've got this much space, silence, and desert magic? Like the video if you've ever wanted to disappear into the desert, but like in a peaceful way, not a Netflix documentary kind of way. Subscribe if you believe freedom starts when you stop Googling rent prices and start Googling how to make rain barrels. Arivaca might not have a target, but it has something better. No reason to rush anywhere. Real stat. Arivaca is closer to wild javelinas than it is to your nearest Trader Joe's. Make of that what you will. So that's Arivaca. Peaceful, affordable, and weird in all the right ways. If it had a slogan, it'd be, come for the sunsets, stay because your GPS gave up. You made it to the end. You survived dry heat, goat neighbors, and housing prices that sound like typos. Drop a comment. Which town would you move to tomorrow if someone handed you a deed and a tank of gas?